Hi everybody, thank you so much for coming to my channel. Today we're going to do a super fun artwork. Come along with me and I'll teach you how to make something like this. We're going to learn a little bit about the art element of tone or value. We're going to learn how to mix colours, create a really fun monochromatic background, and have a go at making a really awesome flower using just one colour. Some things you'll need for this task. Firstly, you'll need 2 pieces of A4 paper, just plain cartridge is fine. You'll need some things to paint with. So some paintbrushes, a palette, even if it's just a piece of paper, something that you can mix colours on, as well as your paints. Now, you do need some white and some black, and then just one colour. Today, I'll be using red, but you can choose whatever colour you like. You'll also need a black marker and some glue for later. Gather up all your materials and we'll get started. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Today's lesson is all about the art element of tone, also known as value. They essentially mean the same thing. What they mean is how light or dark a colour is. So it's changing the value or the tone of the colour by adding white to make it lighter, known as a tint, or adding black to make it darker, known as a shade. So today we're going to practice creating tints and shades of a colour. Now, when we do that, believe it or not, we are actually not changing the colour at all. When I add white to my colour red, I'm only changing its tone or its value, not changing the actual hue or colour itself. So if we have a green, for example, you can have a light green, you can have a dark green, or you can just have a lemony green. You can have the same colour, but different values. It's the same with, say, red. Did you know that the colour pink and red are actually the same? They're just a different tone. Mind blown? Yeah, pink and red are the same colour. So today, the first thing I'm going to do is use my white and my black just to create a bit of a background for my beautiful artwork here. Does anyone know what actually happens when you mix white and black together? Well, I'm going to be a bit inspired by my stripy tablecloth here. And I'm going to do a straight lined pattern using my 2 shades here. I've got my black and I've got my white. These 2 are actually not colours at all. They're known as shades. And so feel free to mix your white and your black if you like, so that you can show a monotone, grey, black and white kind of pattern background. You can do whatever you like with this pattern. You can do polka dots, you can do zigzags, just do something simple, not necessarily a picture, just using lines or shapes to fill your first piece of white paper. Oopsie. So I added a little bit of white to my black here. Can anyone see what's happened to this next stripe? What? Oh, there's a crow. Shush. Shoo. Shoo. Sorry about that. I've got a lot of very noisy birds in my neighbourhood. Anyway, you may have noticed that the white has made my black a little bit lighter. Now, the more white I add, the lighter my black is going to become. So you may have noticed that I have added a little bit more white every single time I've done a new line, making my black get lighter and lighter and lighter and lighter all the way to the other side of the page. Color mixing is a really great thing to get used to how colors work and what happens. It's really, really fun. So I encourage you to make some different shades. We actually aren't using any colors at all, because if we're sticking within black and white, there's no color, just shades. There. This is my background, made up of black and white and all the tones in between. I'm going to leave that to dry, and I encourage you to do the same thing. Pop it somewhere safe. I'm going to move on to our other piece of paper. Now, oops. The first thing we're going to do today is draw a nice big flower. Now, I'm going to draw this flower with a texter or a marker so you can see what I'm doing, but I encourage you to do this part with a grey lead pencil just in case you need to rub it out at all. So I've got a bit of a wobbly circle there. Don't overthink it. You can do long, thin kind of petals, but I'm going to choose to do some bigger ones. Wobble, wobble, wobble. I want to try and take up most of my page here. Can you see that? I haven't made it too tiny. I want a nice big flower to work on. Coming out, going back into the middle, starting out here, wobble, 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 and coming back in. And lucky last. There. Now, within each of the petals, I'm going to get you to draw some more lines. You can see here I'm creating different sections within each of the petals. The idea is to sort of create some different areas that we're going to paint different tones in. Now, if I make these sections too tiny like this, it's going to be really difficult to paint and really fiddly and probably end up quite messy. So I encourage you to sort of keep your sections fairly big and just draw a few wobbly lines in each petal. You can see I'm not even being overly perfect. They can be wobbly. They can go in any direction. It really doesn't matter. Cool. All right, this is the flower I'm going to work on. And as I said today, the color of my flower is going to be red. But if I just painted it one flat tone of red, it's going to be a pretty boring artwork. It won't take long and we won't learn much. So I'm going to squeeze out some red. Oh, excuse me. Now, again, you can choose any color you want for your flower, but you will need our two tones that we've been working with. You'll need some white and some black. Now, before we do any painting, we're going to do some mixing. Ugh, what a mess. Okay, so I'm going to create a whole bunch of different tones of my colour red. I'm going to get a little bit of red and a bit of white and see what happens. Ooh. You can see it's a really nice, beautiful, bright, magenta-y kind of red there. Now this time over here, I'm going to get a bit more white, see what happens. Ooh, that's beautiful. So you can see I'm getting a little bit lighter. I'm going to do the same thing, only a little bit of red this time and quite a lot of white. And the idea is to create different tones of my colour. You can see I've already got 1, 2, 3, 4. They need to look fairly obviously different. We don't want them all looking the same. We want them to get lighter and lighter. And the way I make it lighter is by adding more white. Each time I've added more white and less amount of red to create my different tones there. Beautiful. You can keep going and make as many as you like. Maybe I'll make one more really, really light one with just the red on my brush and nothing more, to create a really, really baby pink. Okay, now I'm going to wash my brush. Because now I'm going to create some darker tones. So please be careful with black. You only need a tiny amount of black because black really does take over. Now, what do you think is going to happen when I mix these two? Yeah, it's going to go darker. You can see here I've got a dark red, which is also known as burgundy or maroon. There it is. And when I start to add more black, obviously it's going to get even darker. We don't want it too dark, but you can see here I've made a few different tones, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different values of red or tones of red, as you can see. I encourage you to make as many as you can, because we're now going to use what we've created here to paint all the different sections within our flower. Now we are going to cut it out so you don't have to be overly neat at this edge here. But otherwise you can see I'm really trying to stay within my lines so that my artwork is as neat as I can possibly make it. Don't forget to actually use the true colour, so the colour that comes out of the paint container, out of the bottle. Sometimes when we're mixing, we forget to actually use the one that is already there for us. That looks so cool. Now, you can choose to do whatever you wish for the center of your flower, but I'm just getting a little bit of yellow paint and I'm dabbing it on, dab, 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 dab. And I'm going to let it dry with a nice spongy kind of texture. I think I've even got a little bit of red still on my brush, so it's mixing together to create a nice hint of orange. Sweet. All right, let's leave that guy to dry for a little while before we cut it out. Now, an optional extra to this task is you could use something called printing foam to actually make your flower sort of pop out from the background. I'll show you what I mean. You do not have to do this bit. You can just stick your flower directly onto your black and white background. Alternatively, if you don't have printing foam, you could just use a piece of cardboard or anything a little bit thicker than a piece of paper. I just need a few pieces. When I'm sticking them onto my artwork, just sticking them to the edges, as you can see there, in random different places on my flower. There. And so now you can see my flower just sort of sticks out a little bit from my background, makes it look a little bit three-dimensional, just gives it a bit of extra pop, but I feel like that looks pretty amazing. So it's as simple as that. I really hope you enjoyed yourself and had a go at creating something you're really proud of. Please make sure that you comment below if you loved it and subscribe to my channel because I'll make heaps more fun art tutorials for you. I'm Mrs. B signing out. Have an awesome day.